Well, and I want to start off by thanking everybody for showing, being here for this final session. And, um, you know, this summit has just been a long time coming together, and it's really very exciting to see all the pieces come into place. So, a shout out to everybody here and the attendees and the organizers. So that's really cool. Um, so let me just introduce Dana. So Dana is a 10th grader in Pleasantville. I first met Dana when she was in 8th grade, and she was in her computer science quad rotation class, and our library media specialist who was leading the class wanted to do a unit on AI education. So she and I partnered up, and we did these different sessions on um, just simple modeling as the MIT AI curriculum. And Dana was a part of that class. And so very thrilled to have Dana join us. So, and of course, everybody knows Tom, and Tom's going to be a part of this panel. So very excited for that. And we wanted to kind of go through a few things with Dana and learn a little bit more about her experience. And then as time permits, see if we can get a couple of questions in. So Dana, we wanted to start off by learning a little bit more about your interests. So can you talk a little bit about how you got interested in computer science?
So my first experience with computer science was way back when I was in kindergarten, actually. I went upstairs to talk to my sister in her room, and she was in 2nd grade at the time, and I saw her moving this picture of a car across the screen with lines of code. And I was a kindergartner, and I thought that was really, really cool already. So I asked her how she was doing that, and she told me in older sister fashion to figure it out myself. So I did, and for the next couple weeks, I figured out she was using the Khan Academy JavaScript course. So I started doing that, and I kind of stepped away from it after maybe like 2 or 3 weeks of doing it because kindergartner attention span. But it still stayed in the back of my mind that it was still this really cool subject. And when I got older and there were more opportunities presented to me and I had the mental development to understand it all, I just dove right back in and I never looked back.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Tom, did you have a question?
Yes. Can you talk a little bit more about some of the computer science classes you've had at Pleasantville and how that's contributed to growing your interest in CS?
Yeah, so I moved to Pleasantville in 4th grade, and right away I was really impressed with how well they exposed kids to computer science at that young age. Like every week we had a class called Computer Lab, and it was really exciting. We learned about Scratch programming and a couple of other small things, and we had a lot of creative liberty with all of those projects. So it really just kept everybody interested. And I was already interested in computer science, but even the kids that like weren't necessarily like into that type of thing were still had a lot of fun in that class. And then, as Dr. Faggio had been saying before, throughout middle school we had the Inquiry Lab quad, and we kept building on that knowledge. We did HTML and CSS. We did that JavaScript course on Khan Academy, and we also had that artificial intelligence program back in 8th grade, and that was really exciting because that's the field I want to go into, and I had a lot of fun with it. And then last year was my first year of high school, and I got to take AP Computer Science, and I absolutely loved my teacher, and it was an amazing course. It filled in all of those gaps in my knowledge that I had acquired over the years. So I had this like list of rules in my head of what would work and what wouldn't work when I was programming, but my teacher was amazing. She showed me like why those things would work and why they didn't, and how a computer understands all of the code we gave it. And I just got a lot more comfortable in just planning out what I'm going to code before I even touch a keyboard, and being able to debug my code when I inevitably run into problems. And it's just really great. Yeah.
Very cool. So could you talk a little bit about some of the other experiences? I know we talked prior to this session about sort of your exposure to CS, and just kind of curious to learn a little bit more about what you might have been doing outside of school during the summer, and talk a little bit about what those experiences were like.
Yeah. So over the past 4 years or so, I've been at this camp called Summer Tech at Purchase College, and I can confidently say it's one of the best environments that you will ever be in. Everybody there is super fun and accepting and encouraging, and you just have a really great time while learning a lot. Like you start with just your basic hello world, then you go into making like Mad Libs and tic-tac-toe, and you learn how to solve, well, you figure it out yourself actually, how to recursively solve the Towers of Hanoi. And then you even go as far as doing Dijkstra's path algorithm and solving the 8 queens problem with different forms of artificial intelligence. And that's really great. And I think they do just an amazing job with giving you creative liberty over what projects you want to do, and giving you help while also allowing for that independence that students should have. Like I remember one year, my first year there, I was learning about for loops with Python, and I went to my counselor and I was like, okay, this isn't working. How do I fix it? And he said, well, you should just fix it. And I didn't really appreciate that response that much at the time, I'm going to be honest. But now looking back, that was one of the best things that anyone had ever done for me when it comes to learning, because I really got to understand that persistence and that analytical thinking that was required for solving my own problems with the knowledge they gave me, instead of getting the knowledge from them and also asking them to solve my problems, which was just really fun and stuff. Yeah.
Very cool. So another thing that we were talking about were some of your interests in different projects. Can you talk a little bit more about some of the things that you're working on?
Yeah, so when it comes to projects, I like to work on a lot of different things at once. I have a little bit of notebook where I keep all of my project ideas. It's actually right next to me. And so right now I'm focusing on 3 different projects. One I'm working on with my friend I met 2 years ago at Northwestern CTD. We want to make an app that gives healthier ingredient alternatives for recipes. And then I'm also working with another friend to make a video game, which is really cool. And then individually, I'm working towards my Girl Scout Silver Award with a project I call Project Steamboat, which will hopefully end up as a website that connects different students from different schools to collaborate on STEM-related projects together. And my goal for that is to kind of decrease the amount of reliance we have on adults when it comes to personal projects, and increase the amount of reliance we have on our personal peers. And because I think that students have a lot more capability than we are given credit for. And I think that we need to really understand that in order to grow and capitalize on it.
Amazing. So it sounds like your projects are really exciting. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about your actual projects and show us something, maybe, or something, if you have anything to share?
Most of these are in the planning phase right now. We're still compiling databases and stuff like that. I would show you some basic character designs, but I could explain more about the different projects I have with my friends. So cool. For the one I'm working on with my friend at Northwestern CTD, so it came up, we were just kind of looking for a project to do, and we were just thinking about problems we have in our day-to-day life. And so I have food allergies, and my sister has a gluten intolerance. So naturally, when we're cooking and baking with online recipes, we run into some roadblocks, and usually we have to kind of research what alternatives we can use for ingredients and then do some math to find out how much of that ingredient we'll need. And my friend and I wanted to create a singular application that does all of that for us. So in theory, it'll be able to scan a recipe and replace the ingredients. You can click on the ones you want to replace. And it'll just look through a database of ingredient alternatives. So how my mom will put in applesauce instead of eggs when she's making cupcakes, because my entire family has high cholesterol and we don't like heart attacks. And then the video game I'm making with my friends, that came about in a funny way. So he's always complaining about how unfair ranking systems are in video games. So one day he was complaining about it, and I just told him that he should just solve the problem by making his own video game. So that's what we're doing. And I've had a lot of fun with like creating 3D models and rigging them because I haven't really done that before. So I'm learning how to do that right now and all of that, and it's really exciting. So yeah.
Amazing. Those sound incredible. And working with real world problems, especially, that's like
Yeah.
super cool. Things you're interested
It's
in,
really
right?
exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have a big like systems question for you. Do you think every student should have to learn computer science? What do you think? How would you feel if every
Okay.
student were required to learn computer science in order to graduate, like health or gym? What do you think?
So this is kind of a sticking point for me personally. I think that computer science is an amazing subject, and I think everyone should try it at some point. But I also don't think it should be mandatory to graduate. I think that as teenagers, we have a tendency to reject things we're forced to do. And so I kind of think that it would be better, instead of making it required, to just really encourage it. And I think we could do that by taking off the label on computer science that labels it as a purely mathematical and scientific field, because I think that scares away a lot of potential computer scientists, because there's a lot of applications for computer science in a more artistic and creative way, like web design or animation with that, or 3D modeling and rigging like I'm learning now. And I think that capitalizing on that will appeal to more people than making it just required for them to do no matter whether they want to or not.
Awesome answer. Thank you. Make it fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
So on that point, I'm wondering if you can share some ideas on what you think schools should do and can do to sort of make CS more accessible to students. I know you just touched on it a little bit. Do you want to kind of dig into it a little bit deeper? As I know there are dozens and dozens of people here who want an answer to that exact question. So do you have
first off, I think it would be amazing if everybody got like a school issued laptop, but I'm also aware that not every school has the budget for that type of thing. But for the schools that do, I also think it would be great to expose kids to online compilers and make that not restricted on the computers. Like I've used REPL.it for a lot of projects in the past and just learning things, and that's really easy because it's accessible everywhere, but I can't currently use it on my school computer because it's restricted. I also am aware that I'm one of these students who has a loaded schedule, which doesn't always leave room for a computer class every day or even every other day. And I think it would be great to have after school seminars where like a short lesson on like some sort of specialized subfield in CS could be given. And I think that'd be a great way to like allow students to dip their feet into computer science without making that scary major commitment for a year or even a half year, because that scares a lot of people away. And another thing that scares people away in computer science right now is this large leap in the curriculum currently. So like I said before, we started off using Scratch and block programming. And I think students love that and they become comfortable with it really quickly. But then as soon as real syntax comes into play, real like words like Java and Python, they are completely scared off from that. And they don't really see that connection between every block of code and every line of code. And so I think more intermediate classes leading up to those higher level ones will be really helpful in just helping kids stick with that initial interest in CS that I see in a lot of younger children these days too.
Awesome. So I know that you had a couple of questions for us, so we wanted to give you a chance to ask us a few questions. And Lisa and Lori, since you're here and amazing people as well, we all have great thoughts on this, please feel free to jump in. So Dana, did you have some questions that you wanted to share?
Yeah, I have a bunch, thank you. So technology has been advancing a lot in recent years and it's been going really quickly. So what would you say you think are the most prevalent subfields in CS that will be happening in the future? And which of those would you say are suitable to be taught to middle school or high school students like me?
I think the cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, and machine learning areas are really huge areas of rapid growth. I think that you're looking at middle school. How would we teach that?
Yeah.
I think you start teaching simple applications of, machine learning and artificial intelligence with tools that are available, like Smart Machine and other tools that are available out there online. We can help students understand that. We can also engage in debate about those use of those various tools. Lori?
Yeah, you're tapping me. Yeah, I taught middle school. So for me, it was really embedding computer science into what we were already doing in the classroom. So we did one project. The first year we had iPads and we had one Sphero robot where the students wanted to code the robot. And I was like, well, then design a lesson that we can do that will do it. And they did. They said, well, we're learning about the hero's journey. We're learning about Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief. We want to take a challenge the robot to do something, and we want to show where it fits in the hero's journey and how it relates to Percy Jackson. And we want to make videos about it. And they did, and it was remarkable. And I didn't know anything about coding. Like I said, I had one robot that had been donated for my environmental club. It wasn't even for my classroom, but they wanted in on it. And they were wonderful projects. They painted shields with the robots. They had like Sphero bowling going on. We had mazes, all sorts of really fun activities. It's just giving all middle schoolers the opportunity to kind of design how they want to learn. I think that's the best way to get students interested in it and engaged in computer science.
Dana, when you talked about that car moving across the screen that you had seen, you wanted to do that.
Yeah.
That's kind of what Lori's talking about. And once I found that students make that connection that they can make these things that they want to happen by controlling them with code, they want to learn more. They want to do more. They're empowered.
Yeah.
I'm going to make
That's
a couple
really
of, just point out a couple things in the chat real quick. Diane made reference to the middle school AI curriculum that was developed at MIT with Irene Lee. So encourage everybody to check that out, as well as aiedu.org. And just wanted to highlight that as well. And I think one more question that you had. I think do we have time for one more question, Tom?
Yeah, absolutely.
Run up against that. Yeah.
Okay. So I think that there is the certain level of danger that comes with the expansion of computer science, like with hackers or stuff like that. So how do you imagine legal and ethical standards evolving with the growing tech field, and how would you go about teaching students in a way that ensures they won't misuse the technological knowledge that they're gaining by those classes?
I have a quick link that I'm about to share in the chat. To understand civic ethics in technology and the effect that technology could have on our lives, both negative and potentially positive, students should read Power On, this amazing graphic novel that explains through storytelling exactly that kind of problem-solving process that students can go through, because students are agents of change for the future, and they can help everyone to understand the dangers and potential, positive aspects of technology in all of our lives. Power On can really help start that conversation.
I wanted to add to that too, that there's a great movie called Butter that was just released. And it talks about the power of social media, and it talks about suicide and cyberbullying. It's open for us to use in our classrooms. There's a hyperdoc that you can get that's related to the book. I think that's a great entry point to talk about the ethics of computing and how we can use technology in positive and it kind of opens our eyes maybe to some of the risk as well.
I would add encoded bias as well. Looking at the use of video and images in artificial intelligence to make sure that we're feeding our machines with data that's representative of all, and making sure that our decisions are ethical. So I think that's really important. And one of the great things about that, as we talk about implementation of the standards, it provides so many rich opportunities to bring the standards into classes like English and language arts, social studies, and there's just so much rich opportunity for implementation there across curricula.
Yes, the maker of Coded Bias, Joy Balin, has spoken to New York City DOE before, teachers and students. So I'm trying to find that video, but if anyone from New York City has it,
it's available. I think still free. It's free and open to view. So I highly recommend.
Coded Bias is, and then the talk back that Joy did with.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Gotcha.
With New York City schools is also available.
That's really great. Thank you.
Amazing.
Excellent. And so I think we're just about at time, right? I think we've got some closing things. I just wanted to thank Dana, and I think that enthusiasm, I'll give her a round of applause.
Yeah.
Real and virtual, thank you for being here, Dana. A lot of people are very excited to see what you're going to create. I think one thing that's worth noting is you're continuing to explore. You're doing a science research program. I'm going to do a shameless plug. Dana's looking for an internship opportunity. So, you know, good connections there if anybody knows of something. But the science research program has been an excellent opportunity for our students. And if you have a similar program in your district, that's another great opportunity for students to really dive in deep. So again, thank you, Tom, for letting us do this panel, and the enthusiasm is amazing. So thank you.
Yes, thank you so much to all of you. I'm going to end, and especially to you, Dana, thank you. That was really what we needed at the end of a long summit of too many resources. We needed to hear, you know, you're an example of our why. We're here for the students. That's it.